Heyo, welcome to the Industry Idiots podcast. Turns out you're listening to last week's episode. You can listen to today's episode if you head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/industryidiots. For supporting, you'll get it a week early and access to one Patreon-exclusive episode each month. Either way, thank you and enjoy this episode. Bye! And hello again. Today we have a special. We have a top 10 games of all time special 300 listeners episode. It's double special, Easter and 300 listeners. And with this special comes a new guest. There's Sven, of course, which you guys know.
The recurring guest, hello.
The recurring guest, welcome back, Sven. And then, of course, we have Robert. Robbie is, Robert Prince is his name, and he's an artist from South Africa, and he's also my best friend for 6 years.
Hello, yes. Hi, yes. You could say I'm a friend of the podcast. Long-time listener, first-time speaker.
What better way to discuss our favorite games of all time than with old friends? And Sven and me, we have friendship more than a decade going strong. And Robert and me, we are heading for the decade. So this is perfect. And we're going to have a little spin on the whole thing. And we're going to guess each other's picks if we can somehow. I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to try to guess each other's top 10 list. So,
which I can probably make happen for you, but not as closely for Robbie, but I'll probably do some wild guesses. Let's see.
Same for me.
Dude, no one in this world can guess for Robbie. Robbie's games are gonna be ludicrous.
Whatever I could scrape off the floor in South Africa.
So Robbie and me, funnily enough, we met in World of Warcraft 6 years ago. So there you go. Now, since we have been best friends ever since, and there you go. Real friendship can be formed over gaming.
Who would have thought?
Now I'm intrigued to know if World of Warcraft is of any on your list. So let's see. Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. Let's start with number 10 from you, Sven. How about? Oh, should we guess Sven's number 10, Robbie? Is it a Star Wars game?
It is not.
Oof.
Actually.
Oof.
I can spoil it.
Yeah, give us a hint.
There's a hint. It's similar to Star Wars.
Is it a Lord of the Rings game?
Well, not in that sense similar. It's a sci-fi game. So it has a similar setting, but it doesn't have as much of the fantasy vibes, I'd say. Even though there's a little bit magic-ish in there.
Robbie, do you have a guess?
This is just a shot in the dark, but Neverwinter Nights?
And that is a wild guess.
Nope.
Okay, hit us with it.
Should we resolve it?
Yeah, resolve it, dude.
It's a game from 2010, developed by BioWare, and it's Mass Effect 2.
Oof.
Back then, when Mass Effect was still good. Shots fired.
Exactly. And it's actually the best Mass Effect in my opinion. The first one, of course, setting the stage and stuff like that, introducing the world. But the second one, the way it was made with the overall pacing of the story and the characters were so good and so unique and so interesting and so, let's say, different from each other. They all had like different gameplay options and capabilities as well, and introduced the species a little bit more in depth and stuff like that. So the overall cinematicness of the whole game was so impressive to me back in the day. That's why it's on my number 10 pick.
Okay, fair enough. And I just want to throw that in real quick before we proceed with Robert's number 10. Every game that didn't make... We spent a lot of time making this list, and there were many heartfelt, sad cuts from the list. And these games we discuss in this month's Patreon special episode that only is available there. But if you want to head over and support and I don't know, find out what kind of games we cut off the list, go ahead. But I would say everyone can mention now an honorary mention that didn't make the list. So I'm gonna start with this one. My mention will be, I want to say Lero, which is a DOS game from all the live action worms, but I'm saying Counter-Strike, because Counter-Strike has been with me, as you listeners and my friends and everyone who knows me knows, but it didn't make the list because it's a little bit like if you go out with your friends for a beer or whatever every day, and that beer you're drinking there is not your favorite beer, even though you do it every day. because what is enjoyable is what you're doing with your friends at that very second. So if you ask me if that would be my favorite drink in that regard, I wouldn't say yes. I would say, I don't know, that 32-year-old single malt. So Counter-Strike didn't make the list because at some point it felt more like a job or more like a passive thing that supports the hangout.
Damn, there goes my top 5 pick for you.
Rip.
Already right out of the gate, gone from the list.
What about you? What are your honorary mentions, Robbie?
I've got here Worms Armageddon from 1999.
Ooh.
This may have been in one of my top 10s, but when I was playing it, I was a little kid, and my brothers were way better at me than this game. But I love it for how goddamn stupid it was. You could summon a goddamn concrete donkey to kill your friends.
The concrete donkey, and of course Armageddon itself.
Oh yeah, of course.
Or the flying sheep.
Playing who can burrow under the ground the best and escape all the fucking meteorites raining down upon you.
Maybe I can I throw in a little short story if that's okay with you guys?
Go ahead.
Sure.
I was playing Worms Armageddon as a kid with a very good friend of mine and hi Philip, shout out to Philip Müller if he's out there listening. Probably not, but whatever. And my brother, and we were playing at night in my room, and my room was right next to my dad's room, and my dad had to work at 4 a.m. the next day, and I was standing at a ledge in a Worms, and I had to press space is shooting, enter is jumping, or the other way around, I don't even remember, and I pressed the wrong one. And I was yelling, oh no, I only wanted to jump, because I died and lost the game because of it. And I woke up my father, and my father was so mad that he yelled what I yelled at the game back to me through the wall, signaling us to be
out of his bed.
Yeah, he was like, I just tried to jump, signaling us to be quiet.
Land on your head, you little shit.
That's my warm story, by the way. My father's amazing, though. Please don't get the wrong idea. Okay, what's your honorary mention, Sven?
It's a good one. I've kicked a lot of Star Wars games from my top 10 list. So I naturally have to mention one or two, which are Star Wars Republic Commando from 2005, which was actually my first real multiplayer game and modding experience ever. And the second one being Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2004, not the most current one, just for how iconic it was. Like, I mean, you will probably listen and hear later that I have a Star Wars game in my top 10 list. But like the Star Wars games were my main intro into like bigger games after playing arcade games for most of the time. So yeah.
All right.
Those two.
Well, and if you want to find out about the other 20 games that didn't make each of our lists, head over. That's all I got to say. Robbie, what's your number 10? Okay, should we guess?
Yeah, you guys are going to have to guess, and I've never mentioned it before.
But you also have to give us a hint. Always a hint per game.
All right, I'll give you this much. It's a strategy game.
Okay, each of us got one guess, I would say. Sven, so what was your guess?
Crusader Kings 2.
Nope.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
A strategy game of young Bibi Booby Bubby Robbie, and that is probably not PC. So what strategy game exists?
No, it was PC. I'll give you that much.
Oh, damn, okay, I'm just gonna say Red Alert.
You got it. Fucking Red Alert 2, Yuri's Revenge, 2001.
Ooh, damn.
Yes!
On point.
Now, I fucking love this goddamn game. You can mind control chimpanzees and send them to fight your enemies. Like, that's not explicitly stated in the game, but it's just a stupid little thing that you can do.
Maybe it should have been explicitly stated in the game, so it sold even more units.
Well, I think it did enough.
What's the game for people who don't know Red Alert, which is probably unlikely, but...
It's an alternate future set with the Americans and the Russians fighting each other as like red versus blue. It's like the Americans are just as American as you get, and the Russians are all just cartoon Russians. Conscripts fight for you. It's just a fucking whole hodgepodge mess, and I love it.
Sounds good. You guys want to guess my number 10?
Oof.
Your number 10.
I have to give a hint. It's a game that you expect you guys both probably expect to be way higher in the list.
Okay, then it's the first Dark Souls.
Nope.
Okay.
Robbie?
I'm gonna guess Dota.
No, Dota. It's not Dota. It's Bioshock Infinite.
Ah, shit.
From 2013, came out on PC. The last installment in the Bioshock series. And Bioshock is for everyone who doesn't know, it's a first-person shooter, and it explores this weird underwater and above the clouds worlds. And you just gotta play it. The gameplay is good. I wouldn't say the gameplay is the most amazing gameplay I've ever seen. That's why it's number 10 on the list. But the story and the narrative that is being delivered and how it's all parts of Bioshock are being tied together, and the level of mindfucks that you are receiving throughout the series is there's nothing like it. This is a very unique thing, and also the reason why I am in after being a game designer, I am also heavily focused on writing a narrative because of that game and that game's history. So yeah.
And then it's only on place number 10. I can't believe that's my second pick in my top 5 right out of the list.
Yeah, it's because of the gameplay. I like the gameplay, but it's not phenomenal, I would say.
Okay, fair enough.
Hard to do still, though. I mean, picking your top 10 favorite games when your main activity in your entire life, as you both know, as most listeners probably know, it's super hard to do. If you really sit down and think of all the games you've ever played, Game Boy Color, DOS, Sega Mega, doesn't matter.
And the list keeps growing and growing and growing.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets even harder to scrap something from the top 10. That's true.
All right, so number 9. Sven, what is your number 9 in the list?
Okay, I'll give you a hint again, so we keep the guessing game going a little bit. It's a stealth game.
Splinter Cell.
Nope.
Metal Gear Solid?
Nope.
Damn.
I didn't even know there were any others.
There are tons of others, actually. For example, Hitman, but it's not Hitman. It's actually the game that ignited a little bit my inner flame for level design in general. It's Dishonored, the first Dishonored.
Oh yeah, that's a good pick.
Oh, good pick.
It's a first person, you play this assassin in this 1800s Victorian London-ish setting. It's a very, very dark setting, and has some really cool set design touches and art design touches. All the characters look pretty cool, and the levels were made in a way that you could approach your assassination target from so many different angles, that the vast amount of opportunities and possibilities throughout the levels, and also tiny little bits you could discover in the levels, like audio logs, or some little notes telling the stories of the people who were living there. And it was all backdrop, but it all enhanced the overall experience. And I think it's one of the best stealth assassination games out there, if not the best, in my opinion. Have you guys played it?
Storytelling through world building is my favorite way to tell stories, as the list will later reveal. So yeah, I've played it. Yeah, but should we go into depth of having played the games, or would we never get done with the list then? Maybe. Why not? I've played it. I liked it. I like that the abilities are so cool. I mean, all of this is in many games. Even Skyrim has it, right, with the pickpocketing and everything. But with Dishonored, everything is so satisfying and ninja shadow steppy, and that's kind of cool. How about you, Robbie?
I played it too, and the thing I loved most about it was the magic. It wasn't like a lot of games that's all sparkly and kind of whimsical. It was fucking creepy as hell. Your magic would have a weird effect on the world around you and fucking make rats start appearing.
And that everything in the story, that's something that the second part of Dishonored didn't do so well, in my opinion. In the first part, which was amazing, the story was hinted and low key and more of a not in your face narrative. And I really like the ambivalence. But unfortunately, they reduced it in the second part, which I understand, because as a series grows, you have to appeal to more users. But still, that was, I think, worth.
There was one thing in the second part which actually made me put it off the list and exchange it for the first part, because the second part had this thing called the like chaos level or something, and was closely tied to the amount of people you were assassinating and killing in the levels that were not like your main target. And this enforced one specific playstyle so much that if you want to have like, it was also tied to the game's ending. Like if you killed all the guards, it gave you like a different ending than if you not kill all the guards and play in a different way. And you're not expecting the ending if you just play along and have fun with the world. And you have to play in a specific playstyle to get maybe a ending you like more.
Okay.
In that sense.
Well, so let's hear, or let's guess for Robbie. Give us your number 9 hint.
All right. It was a third-person action adventure on the PS2.
Rayman.
No, but you're kind of close.
Okay. By the way, I like this with the hint, and each of us has one guess, because the listeners at home can also guess and be a little bit with us.
Okay, when you say Ratchet, here how it's called, Rayman is kind of close. Ratchet and Clank.
There we go. Ratchet and Clank, Up Your Arsenal, 2004.
2004. Was it the first Ratchet and Clank?
No, I think it was the third.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one it was, but what a fucking journey. Like, it has a cartoony style. I don't know what to say about it, really.
It's a 3D, for everyone who hasn't played Ratchet and Clank in their lives, it's a 3D platformer, jump and run kind of game, and you're this adorable Lombax. I don't know what that creature is, like a mouse, like a raccoon, and this little robot on your back. And you have these cartoony, crazy guns that turn targets into cows and whatever, and you jump around and collect balls as money and have these oversized villains, and you just bomb your way through, and it's a lot of fucking fun.
Sounds awfully like Borderlands for kids.
Pretty much.
If you just summarize it in that way.
It's a great game and has a very satisfying player controller. Everyone who hasn't played Ratchet and Clank out there, please play it.
I'm pretty sure it's also on your list at some point, but probably way up higher. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, and it's not Up Your Arsenal if it's there. It's going to be a different part. By the way, the first Ratchet and Clank is called just Ratchet and Clank. All right. Thank you, Robbie. Sounds cool. My number 9, my hint for number 9 is it has 3 parts. The game there's 3 games in total, sorry. And the third one reminds everyone of Die Hard.
Die Hard. Shit.
But my favorite one is not the third. My favorite one is the second.
Are we talking like the reminding of Die Hard, the meme thing that's reminding everyone of Christmas? It's a Christmas movie, or
no,
like
the character from the third installment of the series is very similar to John McClane.
That's a fucking tough one.
It's not Max Payne.
It is Max Payne, yes.
It is Max Payne. Oh, all right.
Oh, thank God. I would never have guessed that.
Damn.
Number 9 on my list is Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, released on PC in 2003. My first copy was on PlayStation 2, I have to admit, but I pretty quickly bought it on PC as well. And I am a sucker for slow-mo, and I'm a sucker for noir. And putting an edgy, badass noir story into slow-mo settings where you can fly through the air and shoot people in the head and, I don't know, have cool quips and voice lines with your... It's just so... It's cheesy as hell, but it's perfect in what it tries to be. And yeah, there you go. It's my number 9.
Do you still like the third part? Because it goes so far away from how the first 2 were, in my opinion.
I played through the third part, and it was a good game. It completely dropped that noir aspect, which made me fall in love with the series, so I don't love it as much. But it had a good plot twist, so I do recommend a playthrough of the third part.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. It's time. I guess it's time for number 8. Sven, let's hear your hint.
Okay, I'll keep it like a very basic hint. But it could also be already giving it away a lot. Because, let's say, it's a puzzle game.
That's the hint. It's a puzzle game, okay.
But how many puzzle games are out there that weren't being in a top 10 of all time.
Okay, I think I know the game. I think the number, the letter in the front is a P.
Exactly.
Robbie, do you know what game he means?
Oh no, dude! I was gonna guess Catherine.
A very famous puzzle game. It starts with a P.
Peggle?
So close.
So I'm guessing Portal.
Of course.
Yes, but not the first one. It's Portal 2. And like it built even more on the first game in what it was and all the different types of puzzle situations, and with the, how's it called, gel, the liquid stuff, and like all the crazy cool mechanics. And I think it was the first puzzle game I've played that legit told a 10 to 15 hour coherent, great writing story with great characters. Man, Wheatley, the ball you're carrying around with you all the time, is one of the best written characters ever in a video game, I think. And your main protagonist is not even speaking with him. He's just constantly monologuing with himself and keeps you going through these puzzles. It's just unbelievably cool for me. And of course, the art style was also pretty nice with the decaying laboratories and all the Black Mesa hints in there for the Half-Life universe fans and stuff. I loved it.
How about you, Robbie? Have you had the pleasure of playing Portal?
Oh yeah, of course. Fucking, I don't think I've met anyone who hasn't.
Yeah, I do have a companion cube on the table behind me right now. I just moved my. We're all in a video call right now because of Corona, so they can see we can see each other, so it feels more like a real conversation. And I just moved my chair out of the way, and there's a huge companion cube on my table for everyone not being able to see us. So
I actually thought you would be bullshitting right now, but there it is. It's actually. What a coincidence, dude.
Yeah, my uncle sent me an Easter package and it was packed in a huge companion cube, and I had a good laugh. Shout out to Mark for sending me this amazing package, and shout out to Unal, who I played all the way through Portal with when he was I think he was in Ramadan. So we stayed up late so he could eat, and we played through Portal together, and it was pretty cool, like years ago. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it also had a co-op mode. That's true. That didn't even make me consider putting it on the list. Like, the single player is that good that it, for me, warrants it being on the list. But yeah, the co-op is also fantastic with the two robots.
The first one didn't have co-op, did it?
Oh, it didn't.
Did it?
Oh yeah, no, it didn't. Yeah, true. Okay, so Robbie, It's time for your hint of your the 8th best game of all time for you.
All right. Now, it was an early RPG, and it was, I think, the first one of its type. I could be wrong.
The first RPG ever?
No. First RPG of its type.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Can I know the platform?
PC.
Oh damn! I would have said Demon's Souls if it wouldn't have been PC. Okay, then no, it can't be Gothic because he isn't German.
The first Fallout.
No.
An RPG. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
it's an isometric RPG, so it's a legit guess, I'd say.
Wow.
Samuel?
Is it Morrowind?
It is.
Hey, I'm on point with my guesses.
I gave that hint on the assumption that Morrowind is the first properly 3D RPG, but I could be completely wrong in saying that.
Well, I'm sure someone will correct us if it wasn't right.
Now, the reason I love this game, oh boy, dude, it's so fucking broken. You can do whatever you want in this game. You can be a claymore-wielding wizard that just flies through the sky at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Like, if you've played the game for 20 hours or so and build the right resources. It's a wild ride, and every time that I've played it, I've found something new, and I've played it about 15 times.
Oh man, what's the? I know that the meme from Skyrim and all these games is you always end up being a stealth archer. Is there something similar that happened back in Morrowind?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much exactly what I described. Magic is so broken in this game. You can create your own spells, and if you have enough money, which you need to make them, you can eventually make spells that will literally just kill everyone in an entire city with one spell.
Damn, I have to play this game. My start into this series was Oblivion. I played Oblivion like a million times, but I've never played Morrowind. All right.
I would highly recommend it. It's my favorite Bethesda game for sure.
Yes, Sven?
I just wanted to mention that I only watched my brother playing it, so I've never played it myself. And I watched him constantly getting lost in this world because there's like no hand holding at all. Like it's just your NPCs are describing something and say, okay, go get this item, go somewhere, and then you follow along the way. And so it's a cave to the left of the junction, whatever, and then you have to find it by yourself without any quest markers or anything. It was kind of cool seeing him fail at it.
Yeah, no quest markers at all, and sometimes they'll just straight up not really give you the right description of where it is.
Which is kind of realistic if you think about it. I mean, if you were going out there and someone had to tell you exactly wherever he lost a hammer or thought he lost a hammer or saw someone and then recollect where he went, of course he wouldn't remember where the way was 100% accurately.
Which also makes for some juicy, spicy quest design, I think. Just trying to fuck a little bit with your players and give them red herrings all over the place.
But not so much that you frustrate them, because it's a small, or it's a tightrope to walk on. Frustrate versus bamboozling. But let's move on to is it my turn? I think it is. Number 8.
It is.
The 8th best game of my life, which is based, I think, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but it's based on characters from a Mad comic.
Ooh, I have no idea.
You guys remember the Mad comic series?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do with the spies and the child with the bread face.
Exactly, that kind of comic series. Yeah, very weird and overdrawn. Feels a lot like Ren and Stimpy.
Damn, I have no idea.
It's for PlayStation 2 and it released in 2005.
The only one that I can think of is Spy vs. Spy.
And it is correct. It is my number 8 game of all time. Yeah. Spy vs.
They made a game out of that?
Yeah, Spy vs. Spy. And it's you could say it's Bomberman in 3D with bamboozling. So you spawn in this villain lair. It's almost like a villain area. Like think of comical James Bond villain lair. And in there's spies, and you can play with 4 people on one console, all have split screen. And we did that. So my brother and me, during our childhood, played so much Spy vs. Spy. And what you do is, the loop is, you get these contracts on the map. You go there, you collect whatever you need to collect, bring it somewhere, and you gain money for that. And you can go back to your base inside that level. Every spy has their own base. And you can buy upgrades and traps. So you go around the map and you trap the other people's contracts. For example, you put a boxing glove in a safe that one-shots them. And it's just a giant bamboozling extravaganza. And it's so much fun. And it was with me a long part of my childhood. So it's definitely in the top 10.
Do you still own it somewhere that we can play it at some time when I visit you next time in Berlin? Because it sounds amazing.
There's actually a program that more people should be aware of. So I'm just going to plug it now. It's called, I think, Emulation Station. And it's a hub that has all emulators inside of it and all games under it. You can play all the games inside the station. And I think RetroPie uses a similar software, but just Google Emulation Station. And I do have Spy vs. Spy there. So when you're here, we can do that. All right. So guess we are nearing the top 5 with the number 7 in the list from Sven. Give us a hint.
Okay, this hint will be a sneaky hint. Actually,
sorry,
yeah.
I still can't believe that Robbie guessed Spy vs. Spy. But yeah, please give us your hint.
Detective Robert, you paid attention to all your ramblings over the years.
I could see math spilling in front of my eyesight.
Oh, like that Hangover gif.
Yeah.
It's your Sherlock mind palace somewhere and searching in the last corner of your game library. This must be in there. It's a great pick. All right, moving on to number 7. That game also has an alcoholic beverage that is called exactly the same. And it's from the early 2000s.
An alcoholic beverage. Robbie, we're the ones guessing. Do you know any games that are named after an alcoholic beverage, Robbie?
I have no clue at all.
Something with tequila, something with I don't know.
It's kind of close.
In your top 10, and it's named after an alcoholic beverage. Everyone of the listeners is probably like, yeah, it's totally that game, dude. There's not many games named. I can't. I'm pulling a blank.
How can you not know it?
Fucking obvious.
It's so obvious.
Okay, another hint. It's a real-time strategy stealth game. But not real-time strategy is actually long. Real-time tactics stealth game. And from a German developer.
So it must be from Mimimi.
Not quite, but it's heavily influenced what Mimimi is doing by that game. Okay, I'm gonna resolve
Desperados?
it because you're very close. Exactly. It's Desperados.
Yes.
It's one of my most favorite games of all time, and number 7. And I'm a complete sucker for these types of tactics stealth games where you have to move through a level and clear your way through it, find the optimal path, and then take out the guards one by one, just like you do in all the sequels. Robin Hood is also a fantastic pick for that. It's, I think, came out a year later and goes in the same direction, but just with swords and bows and stuff instead of guns. And I think I'm really looking forward to the third part Mimimi is doing, because they did a fantastic job with Shadow Tactics, and Shadow Tactics almost made the list for me, but it's went down to the honorary mentions because like Desperados was so influential to my love of the genre, and I'm really glad this genre is like being reignited with Desperados 3 coming out, Shadow Tactics some years ago, and now I think Commandos is also being rebooted by a German developer. So it's a good time to be a real-time tactics stealth fan in that sense.
All right. Robbie, did you play that game? Okay, me neither. I only played the all the sequels or similar games after, but I did not play the original one, but I did hear of it. But okay.
It's one of the best done Western stories.
I see it being in your top 6 for sure. The top 7, I mean.
Yes.
Okay. Robbie, let's hear your hint.
All right. It's a sci-fi shooter based on 2 very popular IPs combined.
Combined?
Yeah.
Stargate Atlantis?
No.
Something like that? Okay. Damn.
I can't picture a sci-fi shooter that something with alien?
Yeah, it's close.
I don't know. Tell me, Predator something.
Alien vs. Predator 2, Primal Hunt, 2002. An absolutely fucking brilliant game. It takes everything cool from all of the movies and puts it into one big old soup. Like, you can play, like, if you're a fan of Alien, you can play as all the different life stages, like, throughout the campaign and even in the multiplayer. If you're a fan of Predator, it has all of the gadgets that were in the movies. And you can even play as the Marines and use everything that they used.
Is it primarily multiplayer, or does it have a single player as well?
It has both, like a whole bunch of different modes in single player where you can play as all 3 factions if you want, or just the Marines as like a first-person shooter type deal.
Cool.
And like each story, like you can play the storyline through the perspective of each IP. So either as the Marines, the aliens, or the Predators. And each one has a completely different vibe. Like if you're the Predators, then it's like you're a hunter and that kind of shit, like in the movies. But if you're the Marine, it's like a survival horror type vibe.
Is it closely following the plot of the movies, or just loosely based on the overall plot framework?
No. It's just based on the IPs. Has nothing to do with the movies, really.
Okay.
All right. This tip, I guess we're moving on to my number 7, and the hint I'm gonna give you has something to do with the release date, and I think that will make Sven immediately know what it is. And the release date is 3 times the same number. It's 11/11/11.
That's the name of the game?
No, the game came out on the 11th of November.
Okay. Then I for sure know what it is.
What is it?
Skyrim, of course.
Yes. Yes, it is. Even though I grew up with Oblivion, as I mentioned earlier, and even though I know Skyrim has its problems and it's been rebooted on every single console ever made, and including your smart fridge probably, it is a happy place game for me, and a game where you can just get lost in and explore the world. And it's just, it doesn't even need story. It feels like I've never finished the main story. And in this role-playing game, I walk through the world and I do everything. And you install. The best thing about it is that there's so many mods out there. There's a writers guild in Australia who has given a Skyrim mod called the Forgotten whatever. I forgot it, unfortunately. Probably related to its title. That Skyrim mod got a writers guild award because it's so good, and the spell compendiums and everything. And some people like to put silly shit in there, like Thomas the Tank Engine and that kind of stuff. But
instead of the dragons.
It's just a fantastic game that captures all the things that I love and I always wanted to be in an RPG. And if Bethesda manages to one-up themselves on Skyrim, that will be a miracle. I don't think it's possible.
I mean, they have to fulfill on this promise of having this perfect fantasy sandbox, and on top of that, make even more fantastic stories, or at least try to make a main story that's actually worth of calling fantastic. Because for now, all the main stories of the Elder Scrolls series weren't as hype. I'm not saying they were terrible in any sense, but just not as epic enough for giving that term. But all the sub stories for sure. Like getting lost in this world with all the guild sub-stories and then little NPC encounters randomly along the way and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget Lydia, man.
Well, it's the first thing I forget about when launching the game, yes?
There she is again.
Robbie, have you played? Didn't we talk about it the other day, Robbie, that we wanted to...
Oh, no, of course, yeah.
Skyrim together?
I was busy talking about the Skyrim online multiplayer mod that some people bungled together, which is incredible.
Is it already out?
I think it's out, but it's still a little bit buggy. Like you can't do every single quest together if you want, but they have most of the quests, which is fine in my books.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what and also Skyrim VR. I'm a little bit sad that they didn't give it the care it deserved. It's good. It's a unique way of experiencing Skyrim. It's amazing, but it's not AAA polished. It's not Bethesda polished that it could have been. I don't know. If you look at Alex, it's a good example on there a lot of care went into revolutionizing and innovating the locomotion and all the interaction with the environment. And unfortunately, none of this. It's more like a hack for Skyrim. And that's a bit sad.
Does the combat feel at least responsive? The way I imagine it, because I've never played it in VR, is that when you move your hand and you have a sword and it's first person and you swing at somebody and then the enemy blocks the stuff, do you get that feeling, or is it it plays the animation after you're doing your hand movement?
Depends on what kind of VR gear you have. The big problem with VR in general is that it lacks... when your brain disconnects, it's the problem, right? And your brain, if you're holding a sword and you clash your sword against an enemy or another sword or a wall, your brain expects the sword to stop. And it does in game. But in reality, your hand continues the motion, and then there's an asynchronity, or you're not synchronous anymore with what you're seeing. And so I recommend playing Magician in the Skyrim VR. That just feels amazing, because the rumbling and of your controllers, that gives you an authentic feedback to what you're doing. And as all sword games or fighting games, it also suffers from the same problem, that if you go for melee, it's gonna feel disconnected. All right, Sven, you're number 7. Give us a hint.
I mean number 6. Already talked about number 7 right now.
What? No.
I believe.
No, this is number
Which
7.
was-
Skyrim was my number 7.
Well, then you're one behind.
Well,
What?
no. You were always the last one with number 7, and now it's my turn for number 6.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Moderation rookie mistake. Oh no, fire your moderator.
You
Yes, of
fucking
course.
fool.
Oh no, I'm a fool. Rob, Sven, please tell us about your number 6.
My number 6. Yeah, okay. Well, what's the hint I can give? It has one of the best story twists in RPG history, and it's a Star Wars game.
I'm just going to guess with the Knights of the Old Republic.
Exactly. It's the first one. But you kind of have to look at them in the same perspective. I'm just noticing now it's the second BioWare game in the list, and they were a really great studio back in the day. Yeah. Knights of the Old Republic kind of plays like all the other BioWare games, like Neverwinter Nights or Dragon Age, or to some degree, of course, Mass Effect, but it has not been a shooter. It's like a game where the combat happens in real time and you can pause it and stuff. And it was the first Star Wars game where the immersion level was so damn high and you made the character your own and didn't play a character that was like drafted by some Lucasfilm or LucasArts. It was back in the day employee, and it was basically you being in the Star Wars world as your representation and your character, and then learning the ways of the Force, getting your first lightsaber and stuff like that. For a Star Wars nerd, this was like a dream come true. So that's why it's my number 6 on the list.
All right. I've never played it, so I can't comment, but I know you have been rambling on about the game for the last 10 years. So
Yeah, it's fantastic writing. You have to check it out at some point. Even if you don't like Star Wars, this has such a great story and narrative elements.
Okay, I will.
I will not stop recommending it to you.
Good guess.
Ever.
Good guess, Robert.
Now, I did play this game. Up until I got to a certain point in the sewers where you have to fight these scary fucking monsters, then I quit the game and stopped playing like a coward.
Oh yeah, it's one of those games that has not as great of a sewer level. I mean, what game has great sewer levels? They are basically none.
I think the problem is not that the level was bad. I think that Robert was creeped the fuck out as a little boy and then didn't want to play anymore.
No, I was fucking scared by
Yeah,
I was a scared little baby boy.
that's how I understood it as well.
I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, okay.
we all have that one game that got us into. For me, it was Alone in the Dark, and I went into a room, and Alone in the Dark is isometric, and it's set cameras. The cameras they don't move, so they look into the room, and you walk into this hallway, and there was a zombie. Okay, it was 3 a.m, small kid, headphones on. I shoot the zombie. I go like 2 meters back in the same hallway, and the camera angle changes, but it's still the same hallway. And I immediately jiggle back into that original camera view where I killed a zombie, and the zombie was back and yelled at me, and I almost pissed my pants, not gonna lie. And then I closed the game, and I almost had a heart attack. So deinstalled the game, uninstalled the game. So yeah, no shame on you, Robert. But give us a hint on your number 6.
What's a good hint for this one? Get good.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, obvious one.
Easiest hint ever. But is it Dark Souls 1 or 3? And for you, of course, Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, it's got to be number 1. You'll be surprised which my number 2 favorite Dark Souls game is. I'm a sucker for number 2, even though everyone hated it.
I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it, but I don't know. I didn't find it to be terrible, but I also didn't find it to be the best Dark Souls. That's all.
Yeah, everyone gave it a lot of shit. But anyway, Dark Souls it's just what I needed at the time. Just dark fantasy with a big world that you can explore. Lots of secrets to find, magic to uncover. It's just fantastic.
And a narrative that is not shoved down your throat, but you can play this game all the way through with completely ignoring the story and the world. Doesn't matter. If you only enjoy the combat, go for it. Finish the game. But if you really go looking, you're gonna find all kinds of weird, creepy, amazing, mysterious shit. And that's what's so amazing. And of course, the level design. We talked about on the podcast before how all the areas are interlinked and you can see the areas that come later from above, and it's just crazy.
And all the shortcuts, yeah. It's fantastic.
Lingering anxiety that just sometime there's going to be another player who's just going to insert themselves inside your world and kill you for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
One of the many anxieties Dark Souls gives you. But yes, also, it's just fantastic. Being a Sunbro, Onion Knight, all of these things, like Dark Souls has sparked so much love, and the community, like many gaming communities are toxic as hell. But Dark Souls community, even though it's mostly a single-player game, has always been amazing. So, mad props.
I just wanted to also mention one little story about Dark Souls. Played it this year for the first time, actually. Like, beginning of this year. And it's actually the first game that forced me, like, from psychological standpoint, to always turn every corner with my shield up. Like in all the other games, you just run around the corner, it's gonna be fine. You'll be able to dodge. But this game is designed in a way that there's a threat into every fucking corner. And it teaches you right at the beginning, and you never stop not having your shield up when you turn a corner. So it's a great challenge. It never stops. And even though there doesn't have to be many threats lurking around a corner later on, but they're doing it so often in the beginning that you never stop doing it. Or I never stopped doing it.
How everyone probably will react listening to this who is a fan of Dark Souls. Sven, I am telling you in the name of everyone who thinks the same, get good, drop the shield. Thanks.
Never.
Yeah, you're only a true fan of Dark Souls when you're running around wearing nothing but your little loincloth.
And the biggest weapon you can find. All right, my number 6, even if I give you 10 hints, you probably won't be able to guess. It's a puzzle game for PC, came out 2005. It has a lot of... these kind of things have a name. You know these kind of GIFs on Reddit where you do one thing and 1,000 things happen from this one thing? Like an orange rolls down a table and that orange knocks over a cat and that cat jumps on the...
Like a Rube Goldberg machine.
Exactly. That's my tip for this. My hint. You want to guess?
Fuck.
Jim loves it as well. My brother.
Ooh.
You can build your own levels. Okay, it's Crazy Machines. I told you guys when it came out. I played it for so long. We made each other these super hard levels that we back then thought were very hard, which I'm sure they weren't at all. They were probably really easy, but we thought as kids, these levels are so hard. Yeah. And it's just one of the first puzzle, or our professor always talks about games being also amazing if they just run their own system without you doing anything. And that satisfying feeling when you've connected all the pieces, all the toys, everything is done, and you press that play button to see if you finally solve the level, and then it all comes together. Amazing. It's just a fantastic feeling. So that game is my number 6.
Oh, it's the one from the side view with the chain reactions?
Yeah, chain reactions.
Okay.
Little robots that and energy and the things that you run on, conveyor, factory belts or whatever. Yeah.
Damn, never expected that to be on your list.
Yeah, it's a well-guarded secret, I would say. Yeah, I think Robbie has never heard me speak about this game either.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, but now, drum rolls, MLG horns, whatever you have, we are now in the top 5 of all time of our games. That was kind of mixed up, but whatever. We are top 5 games of all time. Let's go. Or should we? I'm just gonna grab a fresh glass of water, and then we will be back. Be right back.
Me too.
I hope our recording doesn't die, but I feel better now because we have 2 recordings going on.
We have a backup. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe.
Finally.
Okay. Maybe we can already resume. Robbie's still gone, but we can talk about. Remember, guys, when we said we were always feeling a little bit anxious that the that the recording was gonna die, the hardware was gonna fry. Now we're using a site that records us and backs it up while we are doing the podcast. So we have an on-site and an off-site recording. Way.
I am
Don't
back.
have to worry about anything being lost. Welcome back, Robbie.
Welcome
Thanks.
back, Robbie Babu Babu.
We're already live again, so act normal. Act like a human.
Yeah, act natural, dude.
Oh no.
Robert, you have been gone for so long. I wasn't sure you were coming back.
I mustn't let them know. I'm a fucking freak. Edit this out.
Okay, top 5 of all time. Sven, let's hear it.
It's in a post-apocalyptic setting.
Fallout.
Nope.
Ooh,
Shit. What a curveball.
I ran right into that one.
Fuck. I don't know.
Should I give you another hint?
Please.
It's notorious for its great storytelling in characters.
Stalker?
Nope.
Okay, I don't have hints left, guesses left anyway.
It's a console exclusive.
Shit, man. I have no idea.
It's The Last of Us
All right.
on my number 5. Yes, but actually the remastered version. I've never played the PlayStation 3 version, so I can't judge the original release situation when it got released. But that game and its characters moved me so much when I played it. It was so intense and just one of my most beloved gaming memories in terms of the story I lived through. And yeah, that's my number 5 pick. Such an intense and immersive and consistent world. It's mind-blowing to me.
But very linear, right? It's not an open world.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
sure.
okay. I'm just asking because that was around the time where I pieced out of consoles and into PC. So I did not have the pleasure of playing it yet. So
Might as well give it a try now that Sony brings some exclusives to PC.
yeah, I'm gonna wait until Naughty Dog resolves their employment overwork things, and
The
then
crunch situation.
yeah, and then I'm gonna continue supporting them, of course.
For sure, the game I obsessed for a long time, and one of the factors that motivated me to go into game study. Not game studies, that's a different field. Studying games, I mean. No one wants to go into game studies. And yeah, I also watched the documentary they made from the creation of the game. Like it's a 2-hour thing, and they went so much into depth in how the working with actors on the mocap stage. I found it super fascinating how closely the acting can translate into a game, and you really see all the emotions and subtle thoughts of the characters being portrayed into the 3D model, and really glued me to the screen the way the characters were displayed. So yeah, that's my number 5.
It is a fantastic documentary. I've already seen it, and I didn't even play the game. Okay, Robbie. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play the game, but I just watched the whole thing on YouTube, like a long playthrough with no commentary, and the story was fucking brilliant. Don't even need to play it to get a maximum enjoyment out of it.
It's really cinematic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That can spark a future podcast episode. Is a game that is so linear that no matter how you play it, it gives you the same result and the same. And even if you can watch a no commentary YouTube video, you will have the same feeling as someone who played the game. Is the best medium for this story still a game, or should it be a movie or TV series for the future? Just some food for thought. Okay, Robbie,
Fair enough.
you're number 5.
All right. It's another FromSoft entry.
Well, then it's Demon Souls.
No,
Then it's Bloodborne.
it is.
Damn, I thought you were more of an old school guy, but of course, yeah, Bloodborne.
I never actually. I never played Demon's Souls. Unfortunately, never got the opportunity. But
So you're not a From Software hipster?
Tell us about Bloodborne and your love for it, though.
I love it for its dark art style. I love it for its storytelling. How it's similar to Dark Souls. How it doesn't give you anything straight up. everything is so visceral and intense throughout the entire game, and it just unravels as this huge mystery.
And it's a little bit more intense action-wise than Dark Souls, right?
No, for sure. Like you don't have any blocking mechanics. It's just all dodging. It's a lot faster than the Souls games.
Very good. So Sven wouldn't be able to finish the game.
No.
Probably.
Oh, amazing.
But it's not as fast as Sekiro, so I mean, From Software games can be faster if you look at Sekiro, which is like super high speed.
But Sekiro, to be fair, is further away from being a Souls-like than Bloodborne is. Just Bloodborne has some differences in the combat system, and especially in the healing system, right? Estus flasks can be aren't they like something that you have to collect and find, and not something that auto refreshes?
You have to either buy them or find them off bodies, but it is pretty much the same as Estus flasks.
Okay, in the way it's consumed, but it's not the same in the way it's being found or refreshed in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Super cool. Super cool pick. Unfortunately, not on my list because no console exclusive boy over here. Yep. My number 5 is super easy to guess, and the reason why I am a game designer.
Witcher 3.
That is correct. That is 100% correct. Many people in the games world, in the comics world, in the like-minded people like us, right? Who have similar interests. Might it be medieval, or might it be eldritch and mystery and dark, and just this nerd fandom kingdom of people. And these kind of people love a certain aesthetic. And then you put in the mix, if you love fantasy, if you love books, if you love fantastic writing and narrative, and you take all these things that people love and put them into one authentic game experience that combines all of these things. That is Witcher 3, and that is why it's my number 5 best game of all time. It's just in every aspect of the game. Maybe, I don't know, progression in the combat system a little bit not, but in everything else, it's a 11 out of 10 masterpiece. So
I completely agree. Even though it's not on my list, spoiler already, it's hard to find a flaw in the game. It was super immersive, bunch of great content, fantastic characters. Like, probably should have been objectively on my list, but of course it's a subjective list, so it's not on there. But I also had a...
They have cute, they have hot, they have everything you want in a game. There's everything fantasy needs is in this game. And additionally to that, the company has great consumer-friendly policies with no DRM. The DLCs, sorry, they're not calling them DLCs. I think extensions or expansion
packs.
They are as big as the base game.
And they are beautiful. Like, just the visuals.
And I think they're even better than the base game, because you really feel that with the Blood and Wine expansion, that they, towards the end of production and stuff, they really mastered their type of game they wanted to make, and then they made an expansion, 30 hours of content, just nonstop perfecting their formula, perfecting the way of making the game, and you can feel it. It's like each quest in the expansion is so damn good.
No spoilers, please, though, because I haven't
no spoilers. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, there you go. That's my number 5. I mean, you both probably could have guessed it, not only Sven. And I think it's time. It's time that we move up the bracket a little bit and maybe spice up the row of people who spice our, turn order. So, Robbie, give us a hint about your number 4.
All right. It was a arcade game on the Neo Geo.
The Neo Geo? Am I being ignorant? I have never heard of this.
It was a Japanese game system.
Metal Slug.
Yep.
I knew you would like that.
What the hell is Metal Slug?
Never heard of Metal Slug?
It's in my honorary mentions, Metal Slug 3.
It's same. Metal Slug 3, 2000.
Thugs or slugs?
Sven.
Slugs or slugs?
Metal Slug.
Slug. Okay.
Evelyn Machine Gun. Even though he's saying heavy machine gun. Yeah. Okay, please, Robbie, please tell us more about your passion for the game. I love the game as well.
It's got this absolutely beautiful art style that they persisted with it even though 3D was becoming a big thing at the time. And it really pays off because even today, it's still one of the most beautiful games that I've seen. And story-wise, they just take you to these absolutely insane places. Like one moment you're fighting aliens, the next moment you're fighting yetis. And giant robots shooting missiles out of their chests. It's a wild ride.
When you're mentioning the Yetis, you're in a level where you are fighting zombies, zombie Nazis, I think. Zombie, whatever faction that is. Not real Nazis, but their equivalent. And when they kill you, you become a zombie as well. And while you're fighting those zombies and are heading towards the end of that one level where there's huge alien bosses, you can take a hidden detour, which gives you the access to a Yeti cave, where you are now in this weird setting fighting Yetis, where you can eat so much food that you get fat, and you can. It's all over the place. It's amazing.
And the character model becomes slower. Does the character model become slower when you eat all the stuff? Okay,
it changes how your weapons work, though.
Okay, fair enough.
Robbie, what did you want to say before Sven?
Your reward for going down this side path is you get to pilot a giant woolly mammoth that you unearth from the ice. It's just that kind of game.
And everything is over the top. The announcers that yell at you with when you pick up weapons, and the UFO section when you're later in the UFO. Just whoever out there has not played Metal Slug, it's a co-op, by the way. You can play it with whoever you want to. Go play Metal Slug 3. My opinion, Robbie's opinion, best Metal Slug in the series.
The way you describe the stuff, it sounds a little bit like Broforce on steroids and completely out of this world building with fantasy creatures and stuff. So I'm definitely gonna try it out if I get the chance to get one of the, how's it called? And no-goes?
Neo Geo. No. You can get it on
Neo Geos.
You can get it on Steam and PS4 these days.
You can get it everywhere. You can get it on PS Vita you can get it everywhere. Definitely worth. Okay, good. Very good pick, Robbie. I like it. And I love that I've guessed it. How we should have kept like a score on how often we guessed each other's games. Guessings. Yeah. Okay, Sven.
Number 4?
Number 4.
Okay. Number 4 is in my opinion, the best CRPG out there.
CRPG. Subnautica.
Not CRPG, like not underwater, like classical RPG. The C and C. But Subnautica is fantastic. Yeah.
Albeit this was very funny. It's not a good hint to just state the genre.
Oh, okay, let me expand on it.
Just give us an obscure, funny hint.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure if it's obscure, but it's, if you don't know, it's probably sounds a little bit obscure. It's one of the highest funded Kickstarter games.
Owlboy?
Divinity.
Exactly.
Not Owlboy.
Divinity Original Sin 2. It's one of the few games on the list that are actually came out in this decade. So far, every game, or most of the games we dropped are pre-2010, actually, from the feeling I get. But Divinity Original Sin, damn, it's the best RPG sandbox I've ever played. It's an asymmetric camera, and the combat system provides you with so many different abilities and tools that you just spend so much time just trying to find combat encounters and play with it. Like if you set the like, I don't know, the ground on fire and then throw in some poison thing in there, then it's an explosion comes. Or if you splash water on the ground and then electrolute it, and then the water is full out of electro stuff and the overall story, and it's just so polished, this game. And it has 4-player co-op. I played it with my brother, 180 hours, and and just in my mind, probably the best RPG ever. So there's that.
There is that. Is it from the? This is gonna sound super. People, is it similar in terms of how the combat system works? Is it turn-based? I didn't catch that.
It is turn-based, yes.
Because I was thinking if I hear elements interacting with each other, with water and with electricity and all that shit, I think Magica. Even though it's a silly little funny game and it's nowhere near comparable to that game, but
if Magica was turn-based, then it would be awfully similar to Divinity a little bit, but not as fast-paced, of course. But the amount of creativity you can put into the combat situation and approach each situation differently, maybe sneak around a little bit so you're hidden and then you have a high point advantage so you make more damage, and all the chain reactions of the different types of abilities that could play into each other. It's just so amazing and so creative. And then of course you have a nice world to explore, and there's stuff around every corner in each chest, and you can like steal from NPCs and all the other stuff you can do in our classic RPGs. Just probably a little bit feels like the best of the 15 years that came before. There are a lot of classical RPGs that try to go in this direction, like Pillars of Eternity or the old Planescape Torment, the old Fallout. They all come from the same region, but this game really perfected the formula for me.
All right. Have you had a chance to check it out, Robbie?
I have, and I gotta say, it's a damn brilliant game. I love that you can play the game however many times and you'll never have the same encounter like the same time. Like, no matter what you do, things are going to be slightly different, and it's all under your control. Like, you can plan out these epic encounters where you throw 100 barrels around your enemies before combat starts, then just completely blow them up.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that it was also procedurally generated. I thought you play through it once and then that's essentially it.
Not procedurally generated, but like things will just play out differently no matter what.
I mean, there are like, I think 8 or 10 different types of classes in the game, which all have like different skills, of course. And no matter, or like dependent on which classes you pick, of course, each combat encounter will completely play out differently. If you have specific classes that can't interact with elements, for example, then you would be heavily reliant on your normal magic and like or archer skills or something like that. So,
all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been telling me about this game since forever, and every time we sit in Discord late at night and we don't know what to play, you're like, "Oh, let's play Divinity Original Sin." Oh wait, you don't have it, Sam. And okay.
And I will never stop with that running joke until you own it and we play through the 100 hours long co-op campaign. So much content in this game.
It's definitely on the needs to be bought list in the future. Okay, so that leaves me with my number 4 now, which is it's a fighting game based on an anime that contains a lot of creatures.
Ooh, even though I haven't played any of the games, I would guess it's a Dragon Ball game.
No.
Or Tekken.
Both no.
I was going to guess Tekken.
Okay.
No, it's based on an anime. Where's Tekken based on an anime?
I don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah, same.
Okay, what are the 2 biggest animes that have creatures in them? Pokemon and Digimon or Digimon. And the game that is my top 4, my 4th best game of all time is Digimon Rumble Arena 2, which is a 4-player fighting game very much in the vein of games like Smash Bros, where you're fighting against each other and you try to digitize your Digimon. So it's also same arena, same. It works like Smash Bros, but not with the fighting. The fighting is more focused on the spells of the Digimons, and it's amazing. It's so much fun. My brother and me, throughout our entire childhood, were so addicted to the game. When we went on a skiing trip with my family, we smuggled a PlayStation 2 in my backpack and the game in his backpack and the controllers, so we could play on holiday with whatever TV we could find anywhere. So that is definitely in the top 5, number 4 for me. Easy peasy. Came out in 2004, by the way.
2004. So the skiing holiday definitely took a backseat there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. My parents knew that was gonna happen. It's just Digimon was...
So they just left you in the hotel room and went to the skiing thing. Oh, you guys.
No, of course we went skiing as well. I mean, but all free time was spent on that game, and then getting up late at night sneakily and playing a few more rounds and then going back to bed. Oh man, fantastic memories. Well, that concludes our top 5. Now we're in the top 3. It's time for you again, Sven. What is your what is on the podest? Is it called podest? Pedestal.
Podium.
Podium? Yeah. What's on the podium?
I think. Yeah, in number 3 comes a game that's set in between the 1930s and the 1950s.
Fuck. That's like...
It has a big crime theme.
Yakuza?
No, it has a Western crime theme.
Well, I already had my guess. Robbie, it's your turn.
Is it a Mafia 1?
It is indeed Mafia 1.
Oh,
Ooh,
shit.
Great guess.
Tell us about the game. I've never played it.
Mafia 1 is basically came, I think, in the same year like GTA 3. It's from a similar type of game, but much less over the top and super grounded in realism. And it basically is Goodfellas in an open world setting. And to be honest, even on the same quality level in terms of story, if not even better than the Goodfellas movie. There's no game out there who gives you this feeling of organized crime and Italian mobster situation like Mafia 1 does. And yeah, back in the name, the main character was so cool to me. I was like a little boy, 6 or 7, and I always wanted to be named after the main character. That's how much I obsessed this game. And I think you can put at least 20 or 25 hours into just the story. And then, of course, it's like in an open world setting like GTA. It has also like based on Chicago, I think. And you drive around with the cars and shoot a bunch of stuff, go from A to B. Quest design isn't as revolutionary or anything. It's just super immersive the way it's being told, and it just ticks off all this cliche gangster movie set pieces and situations, even though the game starts really slow. And that's probably one of the reasons why it didn't sell so well initially, because you start off as a taxi driver and you spend like 1.5 hours or at least an hour just doing the job of a taxi driver. And then, of course, the story kicks off, something bad happens, that's why you're not gonna continue being a taxi driver and stuff like that. But it's mind-blowing that from a design perspective, somebody decided it would be a great idea to start this game as a boring-ass taxi driver. And it's probably put off a lot of people, but guys, give this game a chance beyond the taxi driver stuff in the beginning.
Yeah, unfortunately, I played that game pretty much just like GTA. Like finding guns and just going ham on the civilians.
Just fucking shit up.
Yep.
Is there even a single person out there who has played the story of GTA?
I doubt it.
I doubt it as well. Oh man, I still remember my binder that was stacked full, like 3 centimeters full of paper, just cheat codes.
You had to write them down? You fucking loser.
Oh, you knew them all by your heart.
Maybe eternalized them. The tank cheat codes was everything in GTA 3.
Flying cars for me. Cheating a tank, putting the tank shooting to the back and flying cars and then flying around with the tank.
Oh yeah, that was everything.
I love
Amazing.
the chaos cheat that just made all of the civilians just go bananas and start killing each other. Or was that San Andreas?
I think it was definitely in San Andreas and maybe in Vice City.
Somebody made the effort to code all that stuff, like all the civilians going ham at each other, like some extra mile stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is it extra mile though? Or is it a core pillar of the game and a selling point? Because if you think about the target group and how many people cheated of that target group, maybe it's actually a selling point.
You're just providing this over-the-top crazy sandbox.
Yeah.
No, fair point.
Depends. I don't know. Well, what's on the podium for you, Robbie? Number 3.
All right. Now, this one's going to be hard to give a subtle hint for. Let me just say the main character is green.
It's definitely Shrek for the Wii.
Yes,
Of course.
you did it. Well done.
The main character is green. But it's definitely not a Hulk game, and maybe Oddworld or something like that. But
Yoshi's something, Adventure Island?
Nope.
But that would
Okay.
definitely be something right up Robbie's alley.
It is Halo 3, 2007.
Ooh.
Damn, that could have been guessed, but that was a really good hint. That was true, but still distracting.
Yeah. Now, I love it for its ridiculous epic story where you just go across this huge world and blow shit up left and right. Really interesting enemies that you fight and lore to uncover with challenges at every corner. But I think the thing I loved most about it was the multiplayer. Just making maps to fuck around with your friends. Just all-around good time.
Good times. Only playing the sword to one-shot people while, oh man, the bamboozling, the amount of bamboozling that could be done in that game. That's fantastic. That reminds me of a game that I totally forgot that I might have had to include. No, that might have been in the honorable mentions, actually. Similar era. It was GoldenEye for the Xbox.
Oh,
But whatever, don't want to distract. Fantastic pick, Robbie. I like it. Well, my number 3 is less spectacular, and you don't need to guess. I'm just going to say it because it has already been said, and it's Dark Souls 1. My favorite
finally.
third game of all time is Dark Souls 1 because of all the reasons that Robbie mentioned and I mentioned earlier when Robbie mentioned the game. It's just, I do feel, even though, of course, we all love our friends and everything, deep inside we all enjoy these kind of stories, right? These lone wolf kind of lost in a strange, fantastical, crazy world, and you find your way through to the light, essentially. And I think this is what Dark Souls really, really captures. And yeah, I just love everything about the game.
I think
A hero's peasant's journey.
And I have never used a shield, just for the record. Robbie?
I think another important thing about the release of that game was just the time when it got released, because at the time we were all fucking angsty kids who needed something like that, who needed this dark fantasy to lose ourselves in.
Dude, for sure. Dark Souls came out 9 years ago. That is exactly that time where we needed it. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And mechanically challenging. So it's not hand-hold. You could spend a lot of time in this world, in this strange world, without wasting any game-wise, and mastering. And then this is just also a very satisfying feeling paired together with all these crazy themes that we were, as teenagers, dealing with anyway. Good point.
And it's never unfair, right? So like everything is so pinpointy calculated, and the bosses have their patterns and all the NPC have their patterns, and you can master it and stuff like that. So you know exactly what you get in a fight.
Yeah, I like to say that Dark Souls is a rhythm game. If someone asks me, like, my game design opinion about Dark Souls combat, it's a rhythm game. I mean, you could, if you learn the pattern, you could essentially play it blind because everything is so ingrained in each other during combat. Oh yeah. Well,
do some bosses of Dark Souls I haven't finished it yet, but I played a majority of it. But do some bosses have like a certain amount of RNG, or are they always in the same set pattern?
no, it's
So you could always expect what happens.
well, no, it is kind of random, of course. Like it's not gonna do the same attack every time. Like you can't predict which attacks of its pattern it's going to do it, but it has different patterns. So you can't play it with your
Okay.
eyes closed. That was an exaggeration.
Although-
Robbie, do you have a favorite memory? Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, although you can bait certain attacks. Like you can jimmy the boss's AI to perform certain things if you space yourself like a certain distance away from them.
In the newest installation, Dark Souls 3, making Gundyr jump towards you by exiting his attack range, that kind of stuff, for sure.
Exactly.
What is your favorite Dark Souls memory?
Just finishing it, like that beautiful music playing in the background, like the emotion of the story.
I have two favorite moments. One of them I think was Dark Souls 3, but I'm kind of mixing them up in my head. The second favorite one, and I'm going to tell the first favorite one. The second favorite one is when you, for the first time, encounter that undead city. What is it? That super blue with the big sky. What's the name? Robbie, do you know what I mean?
The one that looks like it's straight out from a Disney place.
A little bit. It has this invisible wall, and you're attacked by a huge dog on a bridge.
I want to say Ariandel.
Ashes of Ariandel?
No, that's the DLC.
I don't remember the name, but that kind of city, whatever. You guys will know what I mean. I'm sorry if I don't recall the name, but you come out of this cave and it's a super long stretch that you had to come through. And then at the very end, when you finally manage to do it, you come out of this cave and before you lies this white city. That's a city where you encounter Pontiff Sullivan, right? You encounter this white city and this fantastic skybox, and it's just open and wide, and you can finally feel like you can breathe again. And that was my second favorite. And my favorite moment ever was in Dark Souls 1 when I was playing for hours and I was fighting mushroom people in this hollowed out tree, and I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take being poisoned. So I rolled past all of them and ran and tried to get away from them. And then I exited that tree, and there was an underground beach with a huge hydra. And this was, I don't know, this is the coolest moment in gaming, in my gaming life, I think. So yeah, there you go, Dark Souls. Okay, number 2, Mr. Svenny Boy.
Number 2. Okay, let me think of a hint. It's a game I could have kind of expected you to also put in your top 10. So we have still 2 places to go. Though it could be there, but I heavily doubt it now that I've seen all the other games. So it's a German RPG from back in the day.
It's Gothic.
And it's Gothic indeed, but not Gothic 1, it's Gothic 2. Because it embodied the huge amount of nostalgia having towards...
Can we get just a quick check? Robbie, do you know of Gothic? Is Gothic known outside of Germany?
I think so. Is that the one that you can turn into a little dinosaur creature?
Yes, you can. Actually, it's one of the spells. You can transform yourself into various animals. And Gothic is just notorious for a style of gameplay that's purely based on exploration and no hand-holding at all. You have no map, no quest markers, nothing of the sort. You get spawned into this world, like literally thrown into the prison camp in the first game, and then the first guy greeting you tells you to shut up and follow what he has to say. And then the way the world is structured is that it's kind of similar to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, if you think about it, that you can go anywhere right from the start, but the enemies, the way they are balanced and how strong they are, will tell you, okay, that's not probably the region you are supposed to be at yet in that specific moment. And just the way you enter the mine in the first game and see the city and explore this huge valley, and it's like a very rough and dark and intense experience, and nobody is your friend basically in this world. So I loved it. I played it with my brother. I have only nostalgia-based fond memories of it, even though looking at it from a nowadays perspective, the combat is absolute garbage.
Oh yeah.
And accessibility is like, damn, the controls were not great, but back in the day, no one cared. So
I tried replaying it 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was impossible. That game's control really were hot garbage. But yet we still loved it.
Yeah, the developer is famous for making like this immersive and small contained open world RPGs that you can find stuff behind every corner. Like there's loot everywhere, just tiny little pieces, stuff to like explore and discover, and like there's no dead ends where you are not being rewarded for taking the extra time to explore stuff. And that's so cool about this game. It's a definition of handcrafted, basically.
All right. Well, if any of the German devs from the original Gothics are listening, I guess Sven is saying thank you in his own words. Awesome.
Oh yeah, big thank you.
How about you, Robbie? Number 2.
All right. So the main character had a gunblade.
Oh, wow. That's easy. I'm going to let you guess, Sven.
I have no idea.
Final Fantasy VIII, 1999.
Tell us about the game, what it is.
I couldn't help but give an obvious hint. I love it because it just takes you goddamn all over the planet. Like you go to so many places and just experience this beautiful, like whimsical story. There's a lot you can do in the game. Like you can summon these huge creatures to fight for you. You have access to a whole bunch of different magic and that kind of shit. And the music is just completely on point. It's beautiful.
And it's a turn-based JRPG, right?
Yeah.
I feel your love for the series. My favorite one is not number 8. My favorite one is number 9, the one with Vivi, the little shadow magician thing. Is it number 9? I think so.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a heartfelt pick. Do you have any memorable moment that comes to mind when you think about the game?
Yeah. There's this one scene where you're floating out in space and you see the love interest like floating out like in the distance, and you have to line up your character to catch them, and it's just really emotional and beautiful.
Well, I do hear the emotion in your voice, so I understand that this is very, very dear to your heart.
Yeah.
All right, Final Fantasy VIII is your number 2 pick. Okay, then I guess we are at my number 2 pick now. And how can I give a hint without it being super obvious? There's a wrench involved in this game. And Roman themes.
Wrench?
Yeah, a wrench, an oversized wrench that is almost as big as the character, and a Roman theme.
Could it be Ratchet and Clank 1?
Almost. It is Ratchet and Clank, even though it's my personal favorite is Ratchet and Clank 1. My Ratchet and Clank Gladiator from 2005 from PlayStation 2 is in number 2 of my all-time favorite games. Again, hello Jim, hi, my real life brother. We played Ratchet and Clank Gladiator. This Ratchet and Clank had cars. I think, damn, if I'm confusing these now, I'm gonna, my list is ruined. No, it's the Ratchet and Clank that I played in co-op with my brother a lot, and there were these things that you could jump over with the cars. I hope it is the right Ratchet and Clank, but definitely that one that had a co-op so that you can play together. I've played through all the Ratchet and Clanks hundreds of times on the PSP, on the PS Vita, on the original consoles, everywhere. I love Ratchet and Clank. My brother loves Ratchet and Clank. We tear up when we think about it. It defined us as people and as brothers, and we bonded a lot. And my online nick is Slank, which is from Clank, and even though my character is more like Regid, we made a swap, and Jim's online nick is Jedget, or short Jet, and he is closer, and his first name is Jim, so we took our first names and put them on the names of the characters and then swapped places. That's how our nicknames came to be. And we do want to get a tattoo at some point that is super, super low-key Ratchet and Clank, that no one could know that it's Ratchet and Clank, but we do. And this just means a lot to me, this game. I love it. I love it because I love my brother, and I love it. It's just great memories all around. So thanks. If Ted Price, was Ted Price involved with this?
He's the founder of Insomniac, so in some capacity, of course.
Probably. So thanks you and your studio for making this happen and being one of the reasons why I am now here where I am. Easy peasy.
So this sounds more like the reason is like the nostalgia, memory, and connection to your brother while experiencing the game, not the game itself being so great, but just like the process of playing it and your memories for.
No, also the game itself, because otherwise it would have been on number 4, like Digimon Rumble Arena. It's also how Jim and me ourselves, we identify with the characters in the context of the world and how flimsy and wild the world is. And it's just everything comes together here for me. So that's why it's my number 2.
Great pick.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're top 10 brothers, Robbie.
Yes.
With you having it in the list as well. Well, it's the big moment. It's been 1.5 hours. The number 1. The number 1.
Maybe you go first now.
Okay, sure. Should we go
I'm
blind?
doing the switcheroo.
I could let you guys guess for 2 hours. I don't think you would guess this game because I have never talked about this with you ever in my entire life.
That was my first question. Have you ever have mentioned this?
I have
Okay.
never mentioned this game. And it's okay, I'm gonna give you as many hints as I can, but I don't think you know the game. It's a Sega Mega game. It came out in 1994, the year I was born. It has a French title and a normal title, an English title that is used everywhere else in the world. And it's basically a Zelda clone. But it's not a clone, it's its own thing. It has little monsters like Pokemon that you free and you can speak with animals in this world, but no one else can, and you're trying to figure out why. And I'm not going to tell you why, because you guys can go download an emulator and play this game. And I swear to you, it's an emotional, wonderful journey and one of my favorite games of all time. My favorite game of all time, actually, de facto.
Number 1.
Yep, I have no idea.
Okay. Sven, any guesses?
So what camera perspective does the game use?
Top down, a little bit angled, bird's eye.
Bird's eye, okay. Is it the one you I don't know the game, but is it the one you forced me to pronunciate a bunch of different times and I always got it wrong? Tales of how is it called?
No, it's not Tales of Magial, because that's Tales of Magial is a roguelike that is almost made the list, was in the list until the last second, but no. This game is called
Okay, fair enough.
Crusader of Senti. Everywhere and somewhere Soleil in French means sun, I think. And yeah, it came out for the Sega Mega, and it's it has fantastic music. It's a game that if you want to play some weird game that you've never played and you want to have one dive into a nostalgic old game, go download a Mega Drive, Sega Mega Drive emulator and play Crusader of Senti, written Centy. It's just beautiful. I can't describe a lot of things about it because it's it is a little bit like Pokemon meets Zelda.
Sounds awesome.
But you're not collecting any Pokemon. It's real time. It's a real time action game essentially.
Are you smashing vases to collect rubies?
Well, a little bit. You'll see when you open the game. It is beautiful. If you just Google the name Soleil, or it's written Soleil, but you pronounce it Soleil because it's French. But yeah, Crusader of Senti. There you go. My number 1 game of all time. And none of my friends or you guys, or probably no one knew that I love this game so much.
Was it a financial success back in the day? Like, was it a huge title, or is it like super niche? And it's, of course, we don't know it.
That's a good question. I expect it to be a small title. Not small. I expect it to be an not financially super successful title. Because back in the day, I think Zelda was so prevalent everywhere that this game kind of flew under the radar.
Maybe it was just one of those big in Japan games that just didn't get a localization anywhere else until later on.
Like Trials of Mana.
Could
stuff
be.
like that.
It actually has 3 names, but I couldn't remember the third name. It was only used in, I think, Scandinavian regions, something Raga Senti or whatever. So, yeah. If you want to check out a new game, do check out this game. Okay. moving on
It's a good pick.
from me. Yeah, weird pick, but good pick. Thank you. But moving on, let's hear your number ones. And should we guess your number one without a hint, or
You're speaking to whom?
to you?
To me. Okay. Yeah, guess it without a hint. I think I mentioned it before.
Damn. I wanted, honestly, if you would have told me, like, what's my favorite game, I would have said it's Divinity Original Sin 2. So I'm kind of stumped now that it was not your number one game. The only thing I
Probably my
Star Wars, right?
Indeed, yeah. It's a Star Wars game, but which one?
Robbie, you have more knowledge of Star Wars games. Please guess Sven's favorite Star Wars game and favorite game of all time.
Is it going to be the one that was made in like 1999?
It's from 2001, so it could be close to what you're thinking it might be.
Is it the one where you play as a stormtrooper?
You play as a stormtrooper partly in the first two entries, which I haven't played.
Right,
What was the other Star Wars
I
game?
think
What was the other Star Wars game in the list? Was it Republic Commando?
Yeah.
that was one of the honorary mentions.
Damn. Well, tell us.
Well, the long title is Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast from 2002, made in the beautiful Quake engine back in the day. And that is the game, like I think I mentioned it before, first FPS. You can play it as an FPS and third-person game. Both ways are super valid and super balanced. And you play as this mercenary. First, for the first, 4 or 5 hours, you don't have any force powers or lightsaber at all. You play it as a shooter. And then this game, once you get the lightsaber, transforms into a third-person saber slashing combat game with force powers. And it gets kind of like a little bit, let's say, not the early God of Wars, but it's I don't know. I don't know any games that have been like that from back in the day. It's just, for me, this game is the game why I love Star Wars so much. It's not the movies. It's not any book or something, not a TV show. This game manifested my love into Star Wars. It's, for me, the perfect action adventure with a very nice story. Of course, you meet a lot of Star Wars characters along the way, but it's like completely independent and like cut off from the main saga. It plays alongside it, and the saber combat and the movement feels so satisfying. You have so many lightsaber combat situations, which for a Star Wars fan is, of course, the ultimate fantasy. And yeah, it's just overall a really great game. Force powers are super unique and fun to play with. So that's my number one pick. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast.
All right. Maybe I do have to give another Star Wars game a go. Sounds pretty cool how you describe it. Has it aged well? Or do you have a memorable moment that you remember?
I think I played it again 5 years ago, and it still controls very well. The sequel, Star Wars Jedi Knight 3 Jedi Academy, aged a little bit better because it came 2 years after that. But both games are now, I think, re-released this year. I think a couple of months ago on the PlayStation, actually. So it's kind of recent, and I haven't even mentioned the multiplayer. It was such a big part of the game. Everyone playing with the shooter weapons and lightsabers, and you have this clown fiesta of mechanics clashing into each other. Everyone using force powers and different weapons, and it was just so cool. And of course, you always try to emulate the badassness of some Sith Lord or Jedi slow walking and igniting your lightsaber and then making these moves to make your lightsaber look cool. And yeah, there were also, just like GTA, tons of cheat codes you could use. For example, a dismemberment cheat code, because by default that game didn't have any dismemberment. You couldn't cut people in half or something like that.
It's so much work to make dismemberment happen with, like when you cut a mesh, a pulley, whatever mesh, then there's nothing inside that mesh. So someone had to actually not only program the tool or the engine or whatever, so it can even do cutting. It also had to find some solution, some shader to fill in the gap that cut off leg leaves, essentially. Wow, That was a cheat code.
Yeah, there was a cheat code. I think in the international version it had it turned on by default, but of course I played the German version because I only had access to the German version back in the day, and this was like a censored cut version. And yeah, there were so many cheat codes. You could also change your lightsaber color by cheat codes, or give you like unlimited force powers, so you could like force lightning all the time without any cooldowns and stuff like that. You made you all powerful Jedi.
Robbie.
Yeah, I love that game a lot. Although I played the second one, the Jedi Academy.
I have not heard of it, but I was more referring to your final.
Right. Yeah.
Can I guess without a hint before you say anything? I want to guess Diablo 2. No. Okay. Damn. I was so hyped for that guess. Well, let's hear the hint.
A bandana. Your character wears a bandana.
A bandana.
What?
I only know of villains wearing a bandana in most of the games.
Your character
but the
wears
protagonist?
a bandana.
Mm-hmm.
What type of genre are we speaking
Is
of?
it Final Fantasy X?
I think giving the genre will give it away. It's not Final Fantasy X.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not One Piece either.
It's Final Fantasy 11.
Well, actually, it's number 12. Sven, can I give a guess?
I don't know, a bandana? You can equip a bandana in PUBG? I don't know.
Yakuza 0.
I'm just going to give it away. It's Metal Gear Solid 4, 2008.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn. Speaking of one of the most iconic bandana wearing characters of all time.
Fuck me.
What a good hint. Oh yeah, tell us about your love for the game.
It was the first game that I played that was like that. Like the first game that was as cinematic and as epic on that scale. I think it had the most cutscenes like in length out of any game that had come before it. Like together, I think there was a good 8 hours of cutscenes. Like the story is really emotional and captivating. At the time, the graphics were mind-blowing, and the things you could do, like you get this adaptive camouflage suit that lets you like change your color depending on like what's near you, and like you can actually see it changing on your skin. And,
oh wow!
Yeah.
And don't forget the cardboard box cover.
Yeah, you can either use that super hyper futuristic camouflage or just a cardboard box. It'll both work equally well.
The same effect on the enemies.
Yeah, it's just a goofy adventure that takes itself seriously, but is just completely absurd.
Do all the Metal Gear parts have this absurd amount of cutscenes and storytelling?
They definitely did have like a lot of cutscenes and like a lot of cinematics, but not nearly as much as number 4.
Oh yeah, and the boss design is famous in all Metal Gears. I mean, the bosses in Metal Gear were always amazing.
No, for sure.
Good pick. Surprising pick for you. I would have thought there was going to be something really, really, really quirky and weird coming up, but definitely a good pick for sure.
Isn't Metal Gear Solid 4 the one where Snake is the old guy?
Yeah, that'll tug at your heartstrings like nothing else.
Because he always finds an in-world explanation why this crazy stuff happens. Same with Metal Gear Solid 5, why Quiet has to be half naked all the time. It's because her skin.
Yeah, she breathes through her skin, yeah.
Oh, Kojima, man.
Thank you, Robbie, for sharing. I think that wraps up our episode. Before we close, I want to give a little shout out to our boy Kalle out there, Ico. Check out his Twitch at twitch.tv/Ico, ICKO. Or is it IICKO? Because it's
double I.
Double I. IICKO. He followed us he's supporting us on Patreon, and he put a little banner under his Twitch stream. He just surprised us with it, which is amazing, and we want to give a little shout. He asked he didn't care about a shout out, so of course we do want to give him a shout out now because he just did this because he's a good bro. And then of course, thank you Robbie for coming on the show, and check out Robbie's art Instagram. It's Chorepa, CHOREPA _Peppa, like PEPA. You want to see his art, and for always being by my side, best friends since World of Warcraft, actually.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Very, very cool. Peace out. I hope you have happy Easter and this Corona thing is over soon, and you all stay or get healthy soon, and we'll hear or see you around. Bye.
Bye.
I love you.